It says an investor has $1,000 to invest. Now this is actually a real world problem, guys. When you get old enough to start investing money as an adult, or even now as a student or a kid, this is something that happens in real life. Okay, people break their money down, invest them in different parts so that they can make additional money. So an investor has $1,000 to invest. Suppose she invests $500 at 8%. Okay, so these two values are going to go together. At what rate must she invest the other amount? So that's my question. This is going to help me determine my variable, so that the two investments yield more than $100. Okay, a couple keywords that I wanted to point out that you may not be aware of. The word yield in this sense means produces. Okay, so if I'm investing two amounts at two different interest rates and I want to yield more than $100, that means I want to collect $100 pretty much in the end. I want more than $100 as my interest. Also, more than, does that include $100, or is it anything greater than 100? Greater than. So more than does not include the $100. We want something greater than that. So that should tell you what your sign is for sure. Okay. Now a couple of things that I want to write down because there's a lot of numbers here. I want to look at total invested. That is $1,000. Okay. And I know that I'm going to be investing this money at two different rates. So invested at 8% and then invested at my second rate. Now, do we know what our second rate is? No. And if you think about it, what is the question asking? At what rate? That's what we're trying to find, correct? So let's go over here to the side and say X is the second interest rate. Okay, that's what we're essentially trying to define. X is our second interest rate. So is it safe to say that I have an amount invested at 8% and then an amount invested at X%? Does that make sense? Okay, so from the word problem, how much is invested at 8%? 500. And if I only have $1,000 to invest and 500 is at 8%, how much will be invested at X%? 500. Very good. Okay, so I've kind of set my problem up to where I can just pull this information and set my equation up. Now the equation part is the hard part because there's some background stuff that you guys may not have experienced in real life. But anytime that you want to find or you want to invest money at a certain percentage rate, you're going to be multiplying that percentage in decimal form times the value. Okay, so my first portion of this is going to be my 8%, and we'll change it to a decimal here in a minute, times my $500 that was invested at that amount, plus X%, which we don't know yet, times the amount invested, which was $500. When we add those together, that's how much interest would be earned total. Now, if we want this more than $100, what sign are we going to have in between there? If we want this left side portion to be more than 100, we need the greater than sign. Very good. Now, this is your basic equation. However, we don't use percentages in our equation, so we can rewrite this very easy as 0.08 times 500, okay, plus some X value times 500 is greater than 100. So either one of these I would accept as an equation. Now let's just solve it. Okay, so yes, there is a decimal here, but I would work this portion of the problem out instead of trying to clear the decimal, okay? And you may have to do this on your side. If you had a calculator for this word problem and you typed it in, what you would get is 40, okay? Plus, now x times 500, I'm going to rewrite as 500x because we always write the number in front of the x term, is greater than 100. And then we can solve from here. Subtract 40 to both sides. You get 500x is greater than 60. Divide off your 500 from both sides. X is going to give you a decimal. Now if you type this into your calculator, you will get 0.12, which is, if you move it 2 places to the right, 12%. Perfect. Very, very good. Okay, and then obviously you have to write a sentence, so she must, I know I'm kind of running out of room, invest the other $500 at an interest rate greater than 12%.